This practice combines flow style movement with longer hold yin style postures. So essentially, we're getting the best of both worlds. We'll start with some movement to warm up our bodies and to really just loosen everything up. And then we'll take a little more time to hold the postures and to work a little bit more deeply into both mind and body. Let's get started. Begin in child's pose, taking your knees about mat distance apart. Let yourself sit back as you rest your forehead down. Begin to take slow and steady breaths here. Let the breath go all the way down to your lower belly, filling up. And let your exhales be slow and complete. Now, staying in your child's pose, walk your hands a few steps over to the right. You can interlace your left hand on top of your right hand to add a little more of a side stretch. Start to lean into your left side. You'll feel some of your back muscles, your latissimus muscle. Send your breath into that left side. Walk your hands through center and go over to the left, maybe interlacing your right hand on top and leaning into your right side. Come back through center and shift yourself forward onto all fours. Tuck your toes under and go into your downward facing dog. Spend some time here to bring in movement. You can slowly walk out your heels or bend your knees or anything else that feels good. And as you're bringing in that movement, let your hips stretch up high so you're creating some extra length in your spine. And you're activating tone in your core. From downward dog, move into plank pose. Bring your shoulders forward. You might need to step your feet back a little bit. Engage your abdominals in, chest forward. And then press back to dog. Again, move forward to plank. Nice big inhale. Exhale back to downward dog. We'll do that twice more. Inhale forward to plank. Exhale back to down dog. And once more. Inhale forward to plank. And exhale back to down dog. In downward dog, look up to your hands and bring your right foot up to the top. Lower your back knee down onto the floor. Bring your torso all the way up. Hands can go onto your front thigh. Draw your torso just a little bit further back so your spine is really upright. And then you can slowly lunge into your hips. To get a little more into this left side, leave your right hand where it is, send your left arm up, get taller and side bend toward the right without flaring your rib cage forward. Keep that toned in. Just like we did in child's pose, send your breath out into those left ribs, into that left side, just getting a little more space into that side. As you come back to center, let your hands come down, tuck under your back toes and raise your back knee so that your feet are grounded in a lunge. Now we're going to add a twist, so you might use a block under this left hand, or you can use something that's really similar in size and consistency to a block. Left hand stays here, turn to the right, stretch your right arm up, squeeze into your hips and lengthen your arms. Exhale, untwist, bringing your hands down. Adjust your feet for high lunge, so you might need to move that back foot around a little bit. Both legs grounded, bring your torso up slowly, staying really strong through your hips. Once you're upright, press your feet down and send your arms up. Add a little more core strength, lengthen forward about 45 degrees and send your arms straight back, reaching through your fingertips. Turn on your back muscles and the triceps muscles on your arms, but still keep that core in place. With your inhale, come all the way back into high lunge for a breath. And then exhale, let your hands lower down onto the mat and walk your hands around to the left. Turn your feet around to face the left edge of your mat and adjust your feet so that they're parallel to each other. Soften up your knees to fold forward. You can bring something underneath your hands like a block just to add some extra height. And it may feel really good to move in this pose. So as you fold forward, maybe you're bending one leg and then the other leg, just shifting your weight from right to left a few times. You can let your head and your neck relax a bit more as well. Come up onto your fingertips to lengthen. Turn toward the top end of your mat. Walk your hands all the way around and lower your back knee to the mat once again. Walk your hands further back so that you can roll onto your right heel and just slide that heel a little bit forward. So you'll be in a half split or a hamstring stretch. You can have your knee a bit bent or more straight depending on how this feels, and you can keep yourself more lifted or you can bow closer to your leg. Looking forward, rebend your front leg and just slide that right foot back onto the mat. Tuck under your back toes and lift your back knee off of the floor. With your fingertips rooted, bend your back knee, launch off of those left toes, and just pop your left leg up in the air for one full breath, both legs strong. And then exhale, release your left foot beside your right at the top of your mat so you arrive in a forward fold. Come to a half lift, inhale, flat back. Fold forward, exhale. With your knees bent, slowly come up using your hamstrings and your glutes to bring you all the way up to Tadasana, standing tall. From Tadasana, inhale, reach up overhead. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come up halfway. As you exhale, lower your palms and step back to high plank. From high plank, we're lowering all the way down. Bring your knees to the floor and just come down slowly, bending your elbows gradually. Once on the mat, slide your hands back slightly, squeeze in with your elbows and peel your chest up into cobra pose, engaging your back muscles. Engage all the way into your glutes so the whole back side of your body is really strong. And we're just going to spend a little time here so we can start to warm up and create some heat in those back muscles. Now you can hold that a little longer or press through your arms, curl up, stretching a bit more through the front side of the hips. Remember to keep your back muscles and your glutes really strong. You can lift your knees off the floor for upward dog and just give yourself a breath or two. And then let's move back into downward dog from there. Looking up toward your hands, step your left foot up to the top and lower your back knee down. Walk your hands all the way up onto that front thigh, bringing your torso back over top of your hips. And keeping yourself upright, then start to lunge from your hips. To go further into that right side, leave your left hand here, raise your right arm up, lengthen up, and side bend toward the left so that the right side of your body is lengthening and you're breathing out into those right ribs. Still keep the front side of your core toned inward just to support your lower back here. And come back to center, lowering your hands. Tuck your back toes to raise your back knee off of the floor. Once you get into that solid lunge, we're going to add a twist, so you might be incorporating a block underneath your hand. Keep your legs strong, turn toward the left, and open your left arm up. Squeeze upward into your hips, keeping that strength from your legs even as you rotate. And you're still letting your breath flow evenly. Exhale your hands down to the mat. Adjust your back foot if needed for high lunge, and with strong legs, bring yourself all the way up and send your arms up. Press downward into both legs, but still feel that action of drawing up into your hips. So you're not sinking into the hip joints. You're actually lifting a little, creating stability and strength here. Keep that strength. Lengthen forward. You're using your core. You go about 45 degrees. Sweep your arms back. Turn on your back muscles and your triceps. You can envision a diagonal line from your back heel to the crown of your head. With your next inhale, sweep it all the way up to high lunge. And then exhale, release your hands down. Walk your hands around to the right, pivoting your toes to face toward the right side of the long edge of the mat. Parallel your feet so you go back into that forward fold that we did earlier. And you can have your hands planted in front of you just like we did on the last set, or maybe reach out for your feet, your big toes, your shins, and very gently guide your torso into the forward fold. Bringing your hands onto the mat in front of you, lengthen, turn toward the top, walk your hands all the way around. Lower your back knee down and walk your fingertips back so you're rolling onto your left heel, and just slide that heel slightly forward. You can be more lifted or bow closer to your leg, just depending on how this feels for your hamstrings. And if you're finding you want even more lift, you can use a block under your hands just to bring you up a bit higher. As you lift and lengthen, rebend your front leg. Slide that left foot back onto the mat and tuck your back toes to lift up the back knee. As you bend deeply into your back knee, launch off of those right toes and just pop your right leg up for a breath. Engage both legs. Then release your right foot next to your left foot at the top of the mat, just folding forward. Inhale to half lift. Exhale to fold. As you press through your feet, inhale, rise all the way up, reach up. And exhale, Tadasana. Inhale, reach up overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, step back to plank pose. You can lower down to the mat like before, or take Chaturanga, lowering halfway down. You can go into upward facing dog or cobra pose. And then back into downward facing dog. In downward dog, lift your right leg up toward the ceiling. Let your knee bend and just roll open your right hip to a comfortable amount. Roll back to center and take that right knee to your nose. Shift all the way forward into your palms, contract your core, and inhale, raise your leg up to the sky. And again, knee to nose, exhale. Inhale, leg up to the sky. Knee to nose. Inhale, leg up to the sky. This time we'll bring it through, knee to nose. Look forward, lift a bit, step through with your right foot up to the top, and angle your back foot for warrior two. And as your legs get grounded, bring yourself all the way up, stretch your arms out parallel to the ground. Take some time to just ground and adjust your feet so that you do feel comfortable in your warrior two. And you're able to bend your front knee, but still keep weight into your back leg. From warrior two, bring your right forearm onto your right thigh and send your left arm overhead on an angle to create your side angle pose. You can reach down with your right arm. It might be nice to use a block underneath your hand to rest your hand on, or keep resting your forearm on the thigh. Bring in some core strength. And keep pushing into both of your feet. That's going to automatically draw strength up and into your hips, so this feels a lot more stable. From side angle pose, stand all the way back up into warrior two. Straighten your leg and stretch forward for Trikonasana, or side angle pose. Bring your right hand back down. You can place it on your block or on your right leg. Send your left arm up toward the ceiling, staying grounded through your feet. That same energy drawing up through your legs into your hips. And of course, you're still toning in those front core muscles. From triangle pose, re-bend your front knee, rise back up into warrior two one last time. Exhale, bring your hands around onto the mat. You can step back into plank from here, setting up to either lower down through chaturanga halfway or go all the way down onto your belly. Inhale into cobra pose or upward facing dog. Exhale back into downward dog. Lift your left leg, and as your leg rises up, bend your knee, let your left hip roll open comfortably. You're still preserving core strength, so your lower back feels good. As you come back through center, take that left knee toward your nose, shifting forward, contract your core. Inhale, raise your leg. Again, knee to nose, exhale, shifting forward. Inhale, raise your leg. One more like that. Knee to nose. Inhale, raise your leg. We'll bring it all the way through. Knee to nose, look forward, lift a bit, and step to the top. Set up for warrior two. And as you ground your feet, bring yourself all the way up. Keeping your legs strong, bring your left forearm onto left thigh and send your right arm overhead on an angle to move into your side angle pose. Now you might use a block underneath that left hand or reach down toward the mat with your left hand, but again, stay really strong through your legs. Looking down, bring yourself all the way back up to warrior two. Straighten your leg, stretch forward, and bring your left hand back down to either your left leg or your block. Send your right arm up and move into Trikonasana. Bring yourself back into warrior two one more time. And bring your hands all the way around to the mat. Step back into plank. Lower yourself down through your chaturanga halfway or all the way to the floor. Inhale to cobra pose or upward facing dog. Exhale, press back to downward facing dog. Looking up at your hands, bring your thumbs together, and you'll either step or hop around your hands so that you land in a squat position, and you can lower down into Malasana. If you want to use a block or a pillow underneath your hips just to add a bit of support, you can bring that in. Sit tall through your spine. In your squat, bring your hands back down, lift your hips up a little, and we're going to keep the right foot at the top. Step your left foot back. Your hands are going to be to the inside of your right foot, and you're welcome to place a block under your hands. Let your hips lunge, but squeeze up a little so there's stability engaged in the hip joints. Lengthen your spine, and just keep yourself in that full practice of breath. Let's relax that back knee down. You can let your hips actually relax a little bit here. You can be on your hands, you can be on your palms, your fingertips, your knuckles, a block. And let this be a little softer. So if you're feeling a lot of push into the stretch or into the lunge, draw back slightly and just explore more of the beginning sensations of the lunge. Give yourself a little more time to be in this posture. You might add a twist to the lunge, so you can leave your left hand there, bring your right hand over to your right leg, and just turn toward the right. You can allow your right knee to roll outward. You can go onto the edge of your right foot if you'd like. Just play around with the sensation. And again, if you go really deep into the lunge, consider drawing back slightly and just take your time. Come back around to center, and this time maybe lower a little more, either by lowering onto one or both elbows, or even just bringing your torso slightly downward to the inside of that right knee. This is just going to change up the sensation in the hip. Coming back up onto your palms, ease back just a little bit, and we are going to step back up into the squat. So take your time, set up your hands close together, tuck your back toes under to raise your back knee, and then bring that left foot up to the top and stretch your right foot to the back of the mat. And that'll feel pretty good to stretch out that right leg. Set up on your hands or on your block. And at first, we're going to take a few breaths just holding the strength of the lunge. So you're squeezing upward into the hip joints and you're holding onto that strength. And then go ahead and relax your knee down onto the floor. Now again, you can be on your hands, your fingertips, your knuckles. You can use your block underneath your hands. As you're starting to approach a deeper lunge, just notice where you are in the lunge. Maybe draw it back a little bit. Just give yourself a longer amount of time to linger in the stretch. So that means you'll have to lower the intensity of the stretch to give you that extra time to stay there. Now from here, you might add a twist. You can leave your right hand where it is, take your left hand over onto your left leg, turn toward the left. You can play around with opening your left knee to the left or going onto the edge of your foot. Let's come back around to center. And this time we'll lower a little more with the torso. So your hands could be on your block or on your mat. You can lower further downward onto one or both of your elbows. And just find that amount of sensation that feels pretty moderate, that gives you the ability to linger here a bit longer without feeling any strain or pain. Come up slowly onto your palms. Ease your hips back and just let this left leg slide back behind you. Once you're on hands and knees, just bring yourself all the way down onto your belly. And as you lay out onto your belly, bring your right arm into a cactus position beside you on the mat. So your arm's gonna look like a 90-degree angle and you're resting that right down onto the floor. And then you can also rest your right cheek on the floor. Now you might find that this is already enough sensation in your chest and the front side of that right shoulder, but if you want more, you can roll onto your right hip a little bit at a time. And that'll just incorporate more sensation into the stretch. Another option is to take this top left leg and just stretch it back behind you, and that will definitely increase the sensation. But again, we're going to be staying here a bit longer, so keep it moderate and make sure that you feel like you're actually able to relax into the stretch rather than pushing into it. Roll yourself slowly back to center and just very gently bring your right arm in. Let that arm rest and bring your left arm into that cactus position, flipping your left cheek over onto the mat. You can roll onto your left side slowly. Roll back to center and slowly bring your left arm in. Gently press yourself all the way up onto all fours and come through to seated. As you come to seated, take the soles of your feet in together with your knees open and slide your heels further away from your body so that your legs form more of a diamond shape. This is going to relax the hips and the hamstrings a bit more, and as we fold forward, it's going to allow the stretch to move more into the back muscles. So from here, you can lean forward, let your spine curve over a little bit, hands can go out onto your feet or even reach all the way forward, and then relax your neck and shoulders. Slowly bring your spine all the way up. You can let your knees come up and stretch your legs out in front of you. You can have your knees softened or bent. You can also place a block or even a pillow underneath your knees just to give you a little bit more support, and it helps to keep the knees bent. We're going to fold forward over the legs. This is going to target the hamstrings a bit more. So as you reach upward, stretch over the legs once again. You can hold your feet, your ankles, your shins, or even just rest your arms. And then relax your neck and shoulders. Slowly bring your spine all the way back up. And we'll come to lay out our backs for Shavasana. So feel free to grab a blanket, a pillow, anything that would make you comfortable as you get yourself settled. And we'll lay out for a few minutes, so just let yourself completely relax. Again, begin to bring some movement back. And just slowly start to awaken your body on the mat. Stretch your arms over your head. Bend into both knees so that you can roll yourself onto one side. Slowly come up to seated from there. Thank you so much for joining me in this practice. Namaste.